This is the first time to have you as a co-host, Norm.
Yes, it is.
But you came highly recommended. All right, we have Josh Friday, we have Mike Sampson, Tim Molina, Maurice Kaysen, all in the house. We have 5 viewing, and we still got Palmetto Cats going on. So
Yeah.
So that dam where you fish, is that a fishing dock there that has the railings on it in your live streams?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's Chickamauga Dam. That's what feeds Nickajack Lake.
How deep is it from that platform to the bottom to the top of the water?
Right now they got the water dropped down, so it's about 12 feet.
Wow. We got Justin Fishing Fetish, Great Outdoors. We have JB in the house. And Snakes River Catfish Lair. So if you have any questions, feel free to post them in chat, and we'll get to them. Hello, Charlie Hubbard. Jason Lamb. Last year's catfish tournament champion.
Well, the first round, I won the second one.
Yeah, but let's see. Hey, he has to defend his rights against on run leg against big flatheads and channels.
Yep.
Yeah.
It'll be a good time.
Yeah,
So Big Mike, I got a question for you right off the bat.
All right.
What got you started in the YouTube world? What made you want to get involved and make some videos?
I don't know. I just wanted to help people catch fish from the bank. I've been doing it for so long. I've only been fishing the Tennessee River for 2 years now, so just wanted to help people catch fish because I've always see on Facebook where people's asking questions on how to catch fish below the dam and how to catch these big catfish and stuff like that, and I just wanted to help them out.
Ain't nothing wrong with that. Yeah, that's kind of how I got started out. I see a lot of people. I had a few buddies push me to do it. They're like, "Hey, man, much fish you catch and all the fish you do, you should start your own YouTube channel." I'm like, well, I didn't even know about YouTube until like 2014 or 15. So, and then I started watching it, and I was like, "Whoa, this is really cool! You can pretty much do your own show. Anything you wanted to do, you can do on YouTube.
That's right.
Yeah, I just wanted to help people, have a good time. I noticed a lot of people wasn't using the same bait that I was. I was like, well, why ain't they using that bait? I believe if they try this bait and this method or this way, they may both catch a few more fish. And
Yeah, it's like the Tennessee River. I mean, people fishing with worms and stuff like that. And they're like, well, why can't I catch big fish? I mean, just go get you some skipjack or any other kind of fish like tonight. That's what I was doing tonight earlier. I was down there at the dam. I was gonna go catch some bait and go get out on the river and try to get some cats, but my head was started hurting and all that. But I was sitting under catching white bass. I mean, that's a good bait on the Tennessee River. Drum's a good bait. I mean, bluegill. But skipjack is king.
Yeah, I would have to say shad and skipjack is king on the Ohio River. Don't get me wrong, I do catch other fish or other baits, but when it comes down to it, you got your, they're a natural bait. They're a natural resource of the water.
Mm-hmm.
So of course that's going to be the top notch bait. And that's what you should use first. Now,
that's right.
Like last night, I had every bait known for the big fish. I had chubbs. I had
stop.
Yeah, and I had all kinds of baits, and I couldn't catch nothing last night.
Last night I was fishing with skipjack and white bass, and the 2 fish that we caught came on white bass. I did have a massive takedown on skipjack, but he missed the hook.
Oh man, yeah. I don't feel like the Ohio River's water temps are there yet. When I was live last night, I noticed a few others were out fishing on the boat that were watching the show, and
she's about to get the monster out.
That's one way to.
Scared me.
Hey, Mike Sampson.
I was gonna sit at the kitchen table.
Josh Friday.
Turn some
Sorry,
light on.
I forgot to hit the comments for the comments to come up. I was like, I ain't seen nobody in chat. That's why.
That's what I wanted to. Hello, Flatty Daddy.
Jason Lamb. Straight to the point outdoors.
Sit at my wife's
Mike
scrapbooking
Sampson.
table.
Got a good crowd in here. Good crowd. But yeah, I was like, man, this spot, it was a new spot I fished last night. I was like, man, this spot sucks. But, you know, I was talking when I was doing my live show, you know, there was a few others that were fishing and watching as well. It's like, hey, man, we're down south of you, you know, we're using the same baits. We got nothing. We've been here for 7 hours. And then someone else come in, they was bank fishing. They caught one flathead and one little blue, they said, but they said it wasn't, you know, spectacular. And then there was another guy that was fishing on a boat, and he said he's been out there all day and he got a bite. So I was like, okay, well, maybe it's just not me. Maybe it's, you know, because I had all this great baits. You know, I had creek chubs, I had goldfish. You know, just one of those things.
I think the only thing that had you was against you was the water temperature being so low.
Well, my
What's
water
the temperature on Ohio? It's probably still in the low 60s, ain't it?
Well, somebody said it was 70 degrees, and I'm like, there's no way in the world that water's 70 degrees when we've been having frosty mornings. It just wasn't there. When I'm catching white bass left and right next to the bank, that water is not warm. You know what I mean? Because from what I've gathered, white bass fight really good in cooler water, and stripers. And I caught a little striper. About that big. And,
white bass, stripers, and crappie are cold water fish.
Mm-hmm.
So
that's what I was
if you want cats, it has to be at least 70, 75 degrees to start.
Yep.
So, Big Mike, what got you into catfishing?
Well,
good question.
I don't know. It's just, man, my dad, you know, he taught us. We started learning at a late age. We started fishing when we first moved up here from Florida. Well, when we moved into Middle Georgia from Florida. It was funny. We lived 2 blocks from the beach and we never went fishing when we lived in Florida. We moved to Georgia and we start fishing and stuff like that. And, you know, it was just, I think, fishing down there on the base one time. And I had his rod set up, fishing with a big old gob of night crawlers. And I'm sitting there, and it was 105 degrees outside. So I had the rod propped up on a stick. Well, I had walked up and I was sitting up under the gazebo, probably about 50 yards. Well, it was probably about 50 feet back from the bank. And all of a sudden I see a fish come jumping out of the water. And it landed in the water. And then all of a sudden the rod went, and it went splash. and took off across the top of the water. Well, we ended up getting the rod back the next day. And it had about a 12-pound channel cat on it. It was still on the rod and it was still on the line and everything. We reeled it in. And
wow,
I think that's kind of what did the catfish for me, because you know I bass fished a little bit, and I just never could really see the point in casting, reeling in for bass. I just never could get into it. Catfish, you just cast it. You know, if you study your waterways and all that, you cast it out in that right spot. You never know what you're going to get a hold of.
No.
So Charlie, I take it you don't use no more.
Sorry.
I'm sorry, Norm.
Charlie, I was in the Maysville area. It's where I was fishing the Ohio River, northern Kentucky. Maysville, Kentucky, pretty much. I was fishing literally downtown of it. Nice little area. Really nice.
Yeah, I was fishing 5 foot of water last night. Anywhere from 14 to 5 foot of water last night. And the 2 fish we caught came out of 5 foot of water.
Yeah.
So I take it. I take it, Big Mike, you don't use sticks no more to prop your rods up?
No. Allie, I don't even need to use the rod holders after that last go around on a Palmetto's whisker derby when that rod got snatched in the Tennessee River. I got lucky when I got it back.
Yeah, you did.
Boy.
Yeah, I seen it. Well, when y'all seen me take off and I slid, well, what you can't really tell from that video, it's a 40-foot drop down to the water. And you got to be a mountain goat to get down. And I was just contemplating fixing to run down it and dive in the water after it, and I seen the rod float up. And that's when I was like, oh. So I reached back there and grabbed that rod. I just baited up and threw it out there, and I grabbed it.
That's cool.
So let's talk a little bit about your gear. I noticed you're using some glowing rods as well in some of your videos.
Using what? Yeah. I started. I don't know what it was. It was the. I'm using the 12-foot. No, ugly sticks. They're not 12-foot ugly sticks. They're 12-foot slime cats.
Slime cats. Okay. That's
Yeah.
what I thought they
I've
was.
got
I was like, was they
pointed
mad
off.
cats
Like
or were they
it's
slime?
fascinating. Yeah, they're all. Yeah, I use surf gear. When I moved up here, I was using the typical 7-foot gear, 8-foot gear from the bank, but the channel was so far out, and I'm throwing such big baits. I needed a rod that would handle it. So I'm a working guy. I didn't have a lot of money. All them 10-foot rods and stuff that you seen me fishing with, I picked up from a guy used for $10.
Wow.
So, and I was like, well, I had like 6 of those. I still got 2 or 3 of them left. And but I went on ahead and I bought the Daiwas. The Daiwa conventional non-level ones is what I use. The 40 and the 50s. The 40 and the 50 series is what I use on those. But I picked those up watching Catfish Dave. I was like, I'll try them. So I tried them. I went on eBay. And I think they were $130 a piece then. So I just went on eBay and I picked all mine up from anywhere from $50 to $70 a piece.
Yeah, a lot of people, they forget about the good old eBay. There's a lot of good stuff on there used.
Yeah, I've got one of those Daiwa 50s right here that I paid $52 for that was used twice. It was used 2 times. The guy bought it, didn't like it, so he sold it. And I was the winning bidder on it for $52. And I was like, that was awesome.
Yeah, because sometimes you can find them older. Now keep in mind, this is sometimes. The Abu Garcias, they're pretty popular. Everybody knows them. Everybody likes them. Every now and then you can find one that might have a little scuff on it or a little dent here or there on it, or it might be a sticker. Dude,
yeah, we're catfish. We don't take care of our gear anyway.
No, you get a really good deal.
Get beat up, you see, we throw the rods down if something happens, and they're going to get banged they're going to get snatched out of the ground sometimes and get slammed on the ground, and it's just a cat fisherman's life, man. That's the way it is. You can't take perfect care of all your gear.
No, my poor Shakespeare SKP, it has a big dent in the side of it, and sometimes when I push the bait clicker, you can hear it catches that little dent sometimes. And I'm like,
yeah,
it's only 3 screws. Should I pop out? Nah, it's just a Shakespeare. I don't care.
Yeah. Well, see, the reason why I went to the conventional non-level ones, they're designed without the level one. I started out with a Shakespeare reel, like a lot of people do, from Walmart. I'd never used a bait caster. I went and bought it. I'd take it fishing with me sometimes while I'm sitting there waiting for that cat to bite. I would put a sinker on the end of it and I would cast it, reel it in. Slowly you work it out to where you can end up bombing it out there, 60, 70 yards, even on a 7-foot rod.
Yeah.
Well, then I upgraded to the Abu Garcias, the one made in Sweden. I came across a deal at Walmart one time and I had some money in my pocket and they had 4 of them left. They were sitting on a Walmart shelf, 4 of them for $90 a piece. Brand spanking new, the ones from Sweden. So I bought 4 of them. And, I was like, let's go. So that's when I got those Abus, that's when the trophy catting began. I started down there in middle Georgia. I used to fish Lake Sinclair, Lake Oconee, the Oconee River.
I heard the Oconee River was pretty good.
Yeah, the Oconee River is a real good river. The Oconee and the Okmulgee River, they're loaded with flatheads, big flatheads. But if you want real big flatheads, you go to the Altamaha, South Georgia. There's some monster flatheads.
I'm following a guy on Instagram that's been posting from flatheads in that area, and they're really yellowish flatheads. So I'm assuming it's a real muddy river.
Yeah. Oh, well, it ties into the Atlantic Ocean, so it goes right through Savannah and it dumps into the Atlantic Ocean. So if you go down a certain ways, you're actually fishing brackish water.
That's crazy. I had a question here from J-Dog in chat. I'm trying to make sure I don't miss any questions. He asked me, why did I change my rods up? I'm having trouble. The rods I really like, everybody knows I'm all about saving a buck. I like using the cheap rods. But I've been having a really, really hard time finding the cheaper rods to get a 4 or 5 or 6 set because no one can get them or everybody's out of stock on them. So I'm like, you know what? I'm a bite my lip and I'm going to go ahead and buy me some real good rods. Something to change up, something I've never used before. So my first option was really Catch the Fever, Catch the Fever rods. What was they called? They was the white ones, but they didn't have any of my. I wanted the 7/6 casting, and they was out of stock on that. So I was like, well, maybe I'll go to spinning because I like spinning reels too. I have no problem with spinning reels. So I started looking at them, out of stock. I'm like, are you kidding me? So then I'm sitting here scrolling through Facebook, and I see a post from Mad Cats from Matt Knight on there, and they've got that black light on it, and it just popped. He's had all the different rods in a row showing what they look like under a black light.
Get me a bottle of water out of
And
the
I was
refrigerator.
like,
please.
oh man, I said, I'm gonna have to get me some of those. So I contacted them, asked them what kind of special they had going on. They had a special where if you bought 5 rods, they knocked the 5th rod half off, and then knock off so much for shipping and stuff. And so I went for it. So I bought 5 of them. The Mad Cats, they're pretty nice rods. Last night was my first night using them. Really, really used them.
Yeah, I was watching the live last night when I went live. That's awesome. I love the way it looks. Like if you go into my live stream, you can actually hear you talking in the background because I was sitting there watching you when I went live.
Yeah. A lot of us are doing
watching
that.
both you. I was watching both you, one on my laptop and one on my tablet, and now you can hear you both in the background talking to each other.
I told Gary the other day, I said, I'm about to start going live again on the weekends. I've just been waiting for the weather, It's just been, the weather's been messed up. And I said, I think I may need a second phone. She said, what do you need a second phone for? I said, so I could watch whoever's live. She said, well, if you're live, you don't need to be watching someone else's live. I said, well, I want to see what they're doing,
Yeah, I went and got me a tablet for that.
So,
that's what I mean.
When we're dedicated, we like watching other people. But,
yeah, I mean, if I'm sitting at the house and there's multiple lives going, I'll have my tablet, my cell phone, my laptop. I'll even confiscate one of the kids' tablets if they're not using them. I'll sit and watch 4 or 5 lives at one time.
Okay.
If I'm not watch fishing.
But yeah, the Mad Cats rods, last night, my first night actually using them. When my first trip I went, second or third cast, the reels I had on them, I had the Okuma Classic Pros. The CL 300 Pros. I thought it was going to be a fantastic reel. I mean, they're big and bulky. I'm like, man, this is going to be a killer catfish reel. First cast, I was like, had to adjust a little bit. Second cast, got better. Third cast, the release button broke on it. Third cast. I'm like, you have got to be kidding me. I didn't even get the feel of the rod, but I noticed with that big reel on there, it felt like they was off balance. So I went ahead and I came back home and I had some in the garage on the rods not even used. And I started playing with the release button, to cast them. And another one was just like it, just real loose. And I tried to tighten it up. And you could tell when you tighten it up, there was something inside that was loose. It wasn't tight to it. So I'm like, you know what? I'm just sitting them back. I'll throw my Abus on them and try it out. And then last night I took the Abus out with them. And I'm really happy with them. I think that big Okuma was just too big. You know what I mean? Too heavy and bulky. And I went to a smaller reel and it lightened up the rod. I don't like real heavy rods. I've always been used to the cheapy fiberglass rods, that are real light. And don't get me wrong, I still got a bunch of them. I'm still going to use them. But I just wanted a rod that if I hooked in something that was big, I knew it was going to handle it, just to be on the safe side.
Yeah. If you don't like the heavy rods, you don't want Slime Cats. They're heavy. Just the rod alone. The rod alone weighs 2.2 pounds.
Yeah, that's
I love my heavy action rod.
Heavy.
Yeah, I mean, I love mine. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's why I went with a Slime Cat. I was looking at Penn Prevail, and I was looking at the Okumas, and they could only handle 8 ounces, 10 ounces. A couple of them can handle 12 ounces. These can handle 20.
Yep.
And I mean, and I throw big baits sometimes. I mean, y'all know I hang out with Carl, and we throw big baits. I mean, we'll take 10 ounces of lead on there, and we'll take that 2-pound skipjack, cut it in half, put a double hook rig in there, and we'll throw it. So,
yeah, I've thrown big baits on my Okuma rods.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, I mean, it's nice. I mean, because those 12-foot rods, I mean, I can make a 130-yard cast on it with a small bait.
I'm throwing 11-foot rods, a 15-foot rod, and an 18-foot rod.
and I can outcast you with a 7-foot.
No, you got lucky last time. Hey, you got lucky because there was trees overhead.
Yeah. I seen that 15-foot rod on that one live, man. That's a beast.
It's a big rod. It is.
It's a beast of a rod.
Will hit the Locking Dam wall at Alton Dam.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can probably cast it
with a 10-ounce weight.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. If you put a 6 or an 8-ounce lead on the bottom and a small bait, that's a 200-yard cast ought to be easy with that thing.
Especially with his braid, the size he uses.
That 18-foot rod is easy to cast.
Yeah.
Everybody thinks that'd be a hard time to cast. I'm like, no. I cast it real easy. And it flies and hits a Locking Dam wall out there to Mississippi River every time I cast it.
Sometimes make those long casts so you can reach that channel. I mean, that's why I went to the surf gear myself. So you can, I could put, a palm size bait, which is, my hand. I've got a pretty good size hand. It's a 5-inch bait. I fish with those baits on the norm that wide. They'll be, that tall, that wide. And you've got to make it 60, 70, 80-yard cast just so you can make it into that channel edge. Especially on the Tennessee River because it's real wide in spots. So, sometimes you just have to make that long cast. Last night, all my fish came out of 5 foot away. So.
I want to make an announcement real quick. Let's keep Sabrina in our prayers. She's having medical issues right now, so she won't be able to make it to the meet and greet. And Katie Collins' family, she's out of town with her aunt that is not feeling good. Let's keep both of them in our prayers and thoughts. Please.
Hey, there's Muskrat. What's up, Roger? Roger Dodger.
There's Roger.
Mike Turner. Creole. Just because I didn't see it.
So,
Kentucky
what type of line do you use?
I use Berkley Big Game. I use Berkley Big Game for my catfish. That's the only mono I'll use. I won't use braid in the Tennessee River because it's slap full of rock. You cannot fish with braid on the bottom if there's rock everywhere. But my bait rods, I do use braid because you're just casting out and you're keeping it on top. So yeah.
Yeah, I like using braid for the. I'm trying to get to where I have 1 or 2 setups that have braid. So I have braid on my GX2 channel cat rods, and I really like the braid on channel cats. Where I'm using them at is fin lakes. There's no rocks, there's no structure in these ponds or nothing. They're, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try braid. So I'm really enjoying it. It's a 30-pound Berkley Big Game is what I'm using the braid. It's not bad.
I started out with braid when I put Middle Georgia. I use braid. The only braid I will use is what is it? It's the
Suffix?
No.
Don't you love that?
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank. I had it sitting on my desk. I had a brand new spool sitting there so I could spool my bait rod tomorrow. I'll think of it.
I'm using 40-pound braid. One's high vis yellow and the other one's blue. And they're good.
Power Pro. There you go. I use Power Pro.
Power Pro. That is some strong braid. Let me tell you right now.
Yeah. Back then I used to fish with 80-pound. I would fish with 80-pound Power Pro because the lakes I used to fish in, there was no rocks or anything like that. But you had to have the strength because of the current. Sometimes when you're fishing behind the dam, it would just be so strong. You had to have the strong line. So I would use the 80-pound. I used the 80-pound main line, and then I just used a 60-pound leader back then.
I'm Andy Hogan with Uncle Lou.
Now I run either a 40 or a 50. I'm fixing to probably even quit using the 50. I'm gonna go straight to 40-pound main, but I always use an 80-pound leader.
So are you using are you switching over to 40-pound mono? Because that's what I run is 40-pound.
Yeah.
I run 40-pound.
The main reason why I noticed the 40-pound cast a little bit farther. So that's the only reason why but it's still super strong. That Berkley Big Game, people knock it because it's Walmart line, but it is super strong. Falling down, so much pressure to break it.
Like if they would have seen last night, I don't know if you saw me, but I got snagged one time and I put all my body and my weight and my strength in it, and that was just 40-pound line, and it broke that log and come up.
It's got a lot of stretch, but it's got, I mean, it's got a lot of memory retention too, as far as that goes. But it don't have a lot of memory retention on your spool. But
No.
like if it stretches out, it will pop back to normal
Yeah.
somewhat.
Yeah. Well, a lot of people don't understand with that mono. If you catch a good fish or two on it, it's fine. It's gold. I promise you. You know, a lot of people are like, "Well,
I only got
Mhm.
mono on one reel, and that's my Shakespeare ATS bait caster, and that's a
Yeah.
30-pound mono from Whisker Seeker, and that line
Well,
is so strong it'll break a hook before it breaks the line.
I mean, most reels are rated for what as far as drag goes? Anywhere from the upper teens into the lower 20s. I
yeah,
mean,
18 to
25
24
points.
usually."
So you really don't need a 70 or an 80-pound main line, or you really don't even need a 50-pound main line because your drag is going to kick in before the breaking strength comes in. And if anybody watches you try to, like last night, you trying to break that 40-pound breaks way past 40. So, I mean, your drag's there to save it.
I use Cajun line.
Cajun.
I use that Cajun line out of Walmart. That's strong enough to pull a 2-ton bass boat sideways out of a lake.
Yeah. Oh,
I've done it.
Yeah. Yeah, Red Cajun's a good line. I used to use it back, a long time ago.
And that's all I use for leader lines, the Cajun line.
I mean, back when I first started fishing, I mean, all I used was spinning gear. That's all I used. I mean, that's what my dad taught me how to use, so that's what we used. We always use spinning gear. So I mean, I think we fished with like 10 and 12-pound tests, and Zeb 33s for the matter of fact. I mean, we used the 33s to catch the bluegills and stuff like that. And then we used the spinning gear for the channel cats on base and stuff like that. Before I learned what blue cat was.
Yeah, that's how I started out. Me and my dad, we started out using the spinning setup, because that's what other cat fishermen were using in this area.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got with my wife, and my father-in-law, he was using bait casters. I'm like, what are you using those for? And he said, son, let me tell you right now, once you get used to these bait casters, you'll understand. So he got me hooked on them, and after I figured out, I'm like, oh, now I know why. But don't get me wrong, I'll never knock a spinning rod. I still use them for bait fishing. I still use them.
No, there ain't nothing wrong. I mean, everybody has their own preference, but in my honest opinion, once you go to a bait caster, you won't use them for catfish. I mean, you won't use anything else for catfish.
No, they're just so reliable.
I got Chunky Cat's rod with a bait caster on it, and that's only rigged up for flatheads.
Yeah.
I've got that one rigged up for flatheads.
Yeah, so you use the clicker so they can pick that bait up and swim away with it. They won't feel it.
Oh,
no.
I have 2 rods I could use for flatheads, and they both have bait clickers on them.
Yeah.
And so far, I like that chunky rod because it's supposed to be medium heavy, but it's more of a heavy action rod.
Yeah.
And I can cast it without bird nesting.
Yeah, I mean, the slime cats, I mean, they're a super heavy rod, but they've got a lot of action to them. Like, I mean, they bend so easy. Like a 10-pound channel, a 10-pound fish will just lay it over, or at least bend it, for the most part. I usually just set my drag like the way I've been doing it here lately when I'm live streaming, so I can pay attention to the chat. I'll set the clickers and then I'll just dial the drag back just a touch. So that way, if they take off running, I'll hear it.
Yeah, I've seen your comment. I just didn't want to interrupt Mike or Abel while he's talking. I'm trying my best not to interrupt. So, Big Mike, what is your PB? That's a good question.
94.4 pounds. Blue cat.
Is that blue or a flathead?
There's a blue cat. My personal best flathead is 40 pounds.
Wow, that's
what about channel?
Wow.
Channel cat was 18 pounds.
18.
I caught it on base.
Wow.
Long time ago.
Yeah, that's how my channel cat came. My channel cat came when I was like 17, 18 years old. Back when Walmart used to sell them really cheap Rapala fish scales that only went up to 50 pounds but were digital. And that's what I used to carry around with me. And it said 23.3 or 23.4. And I was like, this scale is off. It has to be off. But when I measured and everything, it might be 23.
I mean, I've got a set of scales. I usually keep a set of scales with me, but I really don't weigh my fish a lot. I mean, it's just, I I mean, a lot of times, like you'll have a lot of action going on. You just don't have time.
No, you
Or
don't.
if it's a real big fish, I won't weigh it at all. I'll just use the measurement. I always keep a cloth tape with me, and it's length times girth divided by 800. As far as the blue cats go, I don't know about the measurements on a flathead, but
that should be about the same
yeah.
measurement contour for a flathead. But as far as Red Lake, the minimum, I mean, the decent sized channel cat out there so far is 14 pounds.
Yeah, I mean, I never really
So
target
they do
channel
get bigger.
cats. Channel cats for me is kind of a nuisance. I mean, we really don't target them here a lot, but I mean, I don't mind catching them. But I mean, a 2-pound channel cat on a 12-foot slime cat there's no fight. So I mean, I'm looking for the big blue cats, big flatheads. But I mean, I'll take whatever bites. I mean, I'm a bank fisherman. You're happy with whatever bites. So
Hey, Central Valley. I know you.
Hey, Central Valley.
there's nothing like a fight, of a really, really mad 40-pound blue cat.
No. Hey,
It's funny.
actually, I will say this. You get a good sized flathead on the end of that mine, it will make a blue cat look like a kitten compared to a fight.
Yeah, I tied into one last year. I was fishing the doors, right there at Chickamauga Dam. I was fishing that first door. I took a hand-sized bluegill and I just cut his tail off, and I cut a gut. I cut a slit right up his gut, and I put it on a 3/0 circle hook. I wasn't even fishing with the 10/0s then. I was just fishing. I just grabbed the first hook, the first biggest hook in my tackle bag, and put it on there, and I threw it in the door. It wasn't in there 5 minutes. And I felt, that thump. I mean, if you've been fishing long enough, you know how the flatheads bite. They thump it and they'll sip it and they'll sit.
They sit there and eat it. Then they just
that's right.
swim either right or left with it.
That's right. Well, I felt that thump, and then all of a sudden I seen the slack coming in my line. So I reeled down. I was like, oh, well, there's weight here. I was like, well, I start reeling this fish, and I'm reeling. The fish isn't fighting. It's just steadily swimming out. Well, this fish swam up to the top to where we were at. There was like 6 of us along this rail. And when this fish surfaced, his head was on. I mean, it looked like it was almost 3 foot wide. It was huge. I know it probably wasn't that big, but it was a huge flag. And it seen us and it took off. Well, right when it took off, my drag locked up. I was using a spinning reel, and my drag locked up, and it wouldn't work. And I'm sitting there holding on this fish, and it almost dragged me over the rail and into the dam water. And, I'm just snatching on this rod, trying to break the line. I'm snatching, and finally I'm about halfway over the rail, and it popped. And I landed back on the ground behind me. I was like,
oh man, that sucks. Hello, Christian Chick.
Avid, Sean has a question for you. Great Outdoors Exploring. He said, Avid, are you going to be able to stream live the meet and greet?
Yes, I'm going to do some tests there when I get to Thursday, and I will at the campsite and check it out there with my services. I should be able to. And Kevin, I will be letting Katie use my devices to go live for the knot tying contest on Sunday.
yeah,
so I should be able to go live there at the site. Last year when I fished that lake, I hooked into 3 big flatheads. And if there would have been tree stumps around there, I would have brought them in. Those things wrapped 17-pound caging around the tree stump and broke the lines.
Oh man!
Now do you want to go explore?
For the ones that are coming to the meet and greet, I did do some research and detailed cell phone towers. There is a few 4G towers, and I didn't see any 5G towers on the cell. There's a website I can go to that tells you what signal provider that's around, what kind of signal you can get. There's a few 4G towers around. No 5G, but there is some 4G. There's like 3 towers around Wren Lake, so we should be okay. We're gonna get off fish now. No, I like mashing rods. Okay, I'm one of those type of guys that all my rods have to match and all the same reels have to match. I hate mismatched rods. To me, it drives me nuts because you can have say I have my $20 let's see what that rod. What is it made by? Well, we'll use my Eagle Claw. My Eagle Claw fiberglass rod. Okay, it's 8 foot. Okay, it's $20 rod. Great rod, no problem with it. But the performance when you're doing a certain fishing with that rod compared to another rod, the bites are going to be different. Like say you're dragging baits, the takedowns are going to be different. If depending on what you get snagged on or get hit with, the action is going to be different. So I wanted to keep the same rod all the way through. So when I got used to that one rod, I would know if it was a snag, a bite, a takedown, or something of that nature. And I knew how it was supposed to perform each time once I got used to it. It's like going from a GS2 medium action for channel cats to a medium heavy, 8 foot. Just setting the hook and everything is going to be a little bit different. You may miss a few more hook sets with the 8 foot medium heavy compared to the softer tip for the medium. And that's my logic behind it.
Now, with Red Lake, you guys got various underwater entrapments, as I should put it. You got trees, you got bridges, underwater railroads, stuff like that. Maybe a roof house to contend with. If you're
I've
fishing
seen
from a
some
boat.
submerged bridges.
Yeah. There's a spot down there on the Tennessee
So,
River. I've been trying
You
to
don't
find
know
a way
what
to
you want to get hooked on in that lake.
There's actually an underwater dam down below us. I've been trying to figure out a way to get to it, to fish it.
Cool.
I'm sure there's one there. I just don't know if it's a low water dam down in that lake or not.
Hey, Mike.
Yeah.
Have you tried the Navionics and trying to locate it maybe?
Oh yeah. I'm a firm believer in Navionics. I mean, if you're a bank fisherman, it will improve your game 150%.
It'll give you a general idea of what's going on underneath of you.
That's right. It might not show you exactly where everything is, but it'll show you the humps and the holes and rocks and stuff like that. I mean, it might not show you where all the brush is, but it does show timber on it in some places.
It does.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer in Navionics.
I'm going to have you help me with my Navionics, Norm, because I don't know how to filter it for all that.
Okay.
Yeah. I've got mine set up with relief shading and everything. Yeah, it's pretty sweet. It helps a lot.
Because if I don't get it filtered the way I want it, I'm fixing to unsubscribe from it.
Well, I mean, the nice thing about the Navionics, like if you see a hole out there, it's so far off the bank, you can touch it here and then scroll out there too, and you can see exactly how far it is, and then that'll kind of help you with your casting on exactly where to put your baits.
So let me ask you a question, Mike. Are you using the free version or are you paying the paid?
No, I pay for it.
Oh, okay. So I've been using the free version. Even it's helped me out.
I mean, it's only $15 a year for the version I use. I mean, that's it.
That's what I'm paying for it, and I still can't get the filter set up the way I want. They're just trying to get me to view a boat, and I'm not a boat fisherman.
No, I mean, you don't have to have a boat. I mean,
I know, but my Navionics is asking me if I have a boat or what. And I'm like, no, I don't.
Well, you know how to fix that? You know how to fix that, David? Get you some pink polka dot arm floats and go out there and float around.
No.
I'm a boat.
I'd like to see you do that to the Mississippi. You'd be down in Louisiana. Hey, you'd be down in Louisiana in less than 6 hours.
Hey, I seen that Mississippi rolling down through there. I was throwing 8-ounce sinkers out there, and it still wasn't holding the bottom. I ain't getting out there in it.
Hey, 2 days after you left, I threw a 1-pound sinker out there on a balloon. That balloon didn't go under, but that balloon and that 2-pound sinker was gone in less than 30 seconds.
Oh, I believe it. It was ripping. Like going from I grew up fishing the Kentucky River. I didn't start fishing the Ohio River until the last 4 or 5 years. I didn't start fishing it real heavy until the past 2 years. Going from the Kentucky River 0 current is a big step up just for me, because now I'm having to throw 4 or 6 ounce sinkers normally to get it to stay on the bottom. Now, then I had that same setup when I went to Cascade River, and I got to see the Mississippi. I threw that same setup in the Mississippi, and it's like just watch it, gone. I mean, as soon as it hits water, it was gone. Pulling line, and I was like, okay, so I went ahead and I threw on another 4-ounce no roll thicker, and I threw it out there, and guess what? It took it right down the river with it. And I said, man. So I got a lot of respect for the big rivers. Even people that fish the Ohio River a lot, I got a lot of respect for you. Because it takes a lot to know the river. You Mississippi guys that fish it,
Yeah. For that river,
that's crazy.
you need a big boat and big weights like Epic uses to fish that river. Because I tell you what, if you don't have it, you're on the bank trying to fish it, it ain't gonna happen.
But yeah, it was interesting seeing. Was it the first meet and greet or the second one that had? It was the first one that had all them boats. Like there's people out there in the Edie John boats going out there on that big old Mississippi River. I said, you won't see me out there on a little boat. I'm good.
Yeah, I'm leery about people.
No, the second meet and greet when I walked down there, remember that barge was floating? It was completely out of the water on the bank.
Crazy.
And that shows you that it drops 50 feet of water in less than a month.
That's a lot of water.
And that broken barge was just laying like this on the bank at that steep of an angle, and it didn't slide.
Jeez.
I walked around that barge on where I could. It had 2 big holes on the bottom side. So when that water's up, those flatheads go up in that barge.
Yeah, me and Dustin got on that barge there for a little bit, but the floor was a little weak, so we got off. So, Big Mike, I know you already said a few things that you like to use for bait, but what are some other baits you like to use for your catfish if you can't get fresh skipjack?
Oh, I use as far as the list goes with my list in the Tennessee River, it's skipjack, white bass, drum, bluegill, and then gizzard shad. That's what I use. The gizzard shad, I mean, it's a real abundant bait, but it washes out so fast. You always have to replace your bait so much. But white bass is real oily fish. Drum's real oily fish. Bluegills, it's fairly oily, but I mean, I'm sure a lot of fish eat those. So if they catch that scent, they'll go to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what would be your go-to bait, Big Mike?
Skipjack.
Yep.
Always skipjack. If skippies. I love skippies. I love going and catching the skippies. It's fun catching the skippies, and I want to fish with the skippies.
That skipjack I had last night, the bait shop that I got it from, I know the guy that catches them there and delivers them, and he told me, he said, hey man, I just delivered a new fresh batch of skipjack. I said, okay. And she said, this was just caught last week. This is fresh. I said, yeah, I know the guy that brings it to y'all. I said, he told me about it. And she handed it out there to me. I was like, in a Ziploc bag? I'm like, he doesn't do Ziploc bag. He does airtight bags,
That's the way I do mine.
And so I'm like, you know what? Maybe he switched it up. Maybe he ran out and got Ziploc bags. So I bought them anyways. Took them up there, and by the time they thawed out and I got up there, the guts didn't slide out of them. I said, yeah, they sold me the old skipjack. What happened.
Yeah.
You could... that old skipjack, when it's been froze for a long time, it seems like when they thaw out, the guts just come out on their own.
If it gets real mushy, it tells you they didn't take good care of it.
Yeah, that's what happened. I mean, they wouldn't even thaw it out 100%, and the guts were the belly was just falling out.
I will use frozen skipjack, but only if I catch it. I mean, all I use is gallon Ziploc bags. I'll stick 3 or 4 of them in a bag, and I'll take all the air out of them, and I'll stick it. But I won't use them if they're any more than like 2 or 3 weeks old. Usually, just about every I go catch my bait, and then I go fishing. So I'll get off work or whatever. I mean, I'm only 15 minutes from the dam. I'll run up to the dam, try to catch what I can.
You lucky dog.
Yeah, like yesterday. I mean, before yesterday's trip, we went down there. And I fished for about an hour and a half, and I caught 2 white bass and 2 skipjack. So tonight I hooked 1 skipjack tonight, but he jumped off the hook. But I caught 5 or 6 white bass, I can't remember, and then I caught a couple little small stripers and 1 drum. The drum was a little bit too big for bait, so I just threw him back. Which I threw all of them back tonight. I was just out there playing.
Yeah. But it's nice to live that close. I got to drive an hour and 20 minutes just to hit a decent big river. I mean, I've got the Kentucky River. It's not fished as much as people think it is.
Yeah.
A lot of people in my area, they stay away from it. They won't even touch it.
I mean, I live within 30 minutes of two big dams. So like Chickamauga Dam's 15 minutes from my house. I live just across the Tennessee-Georgia state line in Georgia. Like literally I can walk into Tennessee in 5 minutes. I can just walk out my back door right here and walk that way, and I'm in Tennessee. So I live 15 minutes from Chickamauga Dam, and I live 30 minutes from Nickajack Dam.
So you're in the prime area. You got the Catfish Prime waters right there at your back door. See, that's
well, the Tennessee River. There's a lot of stuff that goes on YouTube. Being saying Fort Loudon ain't worth a darn, and this lake ain't worth. It's Tennessee River. There's big fish all the way up and down this river. You just got to get your river figured out and fish it. That's basically all it boils down to. If you get your river fished out or figured out, you can catch a lot of big fish in here. Like our average size blue cat in here is 20 to 40 pounds.
Yeah. See, it's like me last night.
Average size fish.
You'll get me last night. Go ahead.
A lot. You'll get a lot over. Last year was my best year fishing ever. I got the river dialed in, and I caught 14 or 15 50-pounders, 10 60s. I got that 90, and I probably, like I said, I don't weigh my fish, so I had to have got some in the 70 and 80s right there at the doors. So,
yeah, it's like the spot I was fishing in last night. I don't know the Ohio River at all. I ain't gonna lie, I don't know nothing about the Ohio River.
If I'm not fishing, I'm usually either on Navionics studying or I'm on the phone talking to other cat fishermen that fish this river, and we sit and talk. We'll sit and talk for hours about just fishing, just trying to figure out. I was like, right now, nobody's catching anything because everything's completely different this year than it was last year. Because last year it was all flooded out all the way until June. This year
it was.
Y'all seen those few lives where I was fishing? There was a lot of current flowing through there. Well, it dropped like just overnight. They went from 90,000 to 50,000 to 30,000 to 6,000.
Yeah, see, them fish don't know what they're doing. They don't know what to do.
And right now they're in the summer pattern. So at night they lower everything down at about 11 o'clock down to 6,000, and then they start bumping it up and gradually. If you download the TWA app, it'll show you what every single dam is flowing out on the Tennessee River. So, like I said, they drop it to about 6,000 at 11 o'clock because everything's warmed up, so they don't need the heaters running at night. But everything's running during the daytime with the air conditioners because it's breaking into the heat. So they start ramping to all the way up to about 35. I think they got up to about 38,000 this evening earlier. So,
Josh, I know Jason's on the road because I've seen some of the flatheads and blues he's been pulling out of Powerton Lake and then off the river. So
yeah,
he's gonna be a force to reckon with come to Wren Lake.
Oh yeah, I got a lot of competition.
Either your lake or the river that you fish most often. Get with other people that fish it. I'm a member on Facebook. I read a lot of stuff. I help people on Facebook. I've got I talk to Chat Cat sometimes on the phone. I talk to Carl on the phone, and we're always trying to figure stuff out all at one time. But get on Navionics and just travel up and down your river. If you fish a certain section, we usually break it down into. Well, I do. I break it into 10-mile sections. And I'm a bank guy, so there ain't too many places I can go. But if you look at Google, it'll tell you where you can and you can't access. Like last night was my first time ever fishing that spot. I'd never fished that spot until last night.
That's how mine was last night. I found that spot. I've been going on some of the older forums, like before Facebook. Some of us fishermen went to forums to talk about and find information about areas. I found that spot last night on Google, and then I also found some people talking about it on a forum. A fishing forum, and they talk. I read on there a lot of people said they do good for flatheads and blues in that area certain times of the year. And then I was on Google, and I'm like, wait a minute, is that a fishing spot? So I zoomed in, it had the walkway there, and it's from Maysville. I said, I'm going to try that this weekend. Yeah. And so that's what it. And I have found enough spots to do me for about 4 or 5. You don't talk to me on the phone, big one.
I got you, Dumber. I know. But you don't fish over here. I'm trying to get. Well, we'll be fishing this weekend, so.
But yeah, I've been trying to get a hold of people about the Kentucky River, but everybody I know that lives in this area, they avoid the. They keep avoiding the. They tell me to avoid the Kentucky River.
He's funny. Well, I mean, the vast majority of the spots I fish, everybody fishes them. You can fish them like the dam. You can fish that spot. You can fish downtown where I fish a lot. I mean, there's a couple other parks in between here and there that I fish a lot, and I've got big, huge fish. And people are always wondering, well, how do you do it? A lot of times it's just luck of the draw. I mean, everybody knows it's fishing. I mean, you just put your time in and you'll hammer the fish. I fish a lot. As y'all can tell, I do a lot of lives, and I fish a lot even when I'm not live. I'll get off of work, I'll come home, eat my supper, kiss my wife goodbye, and I go to the lake or I go to the river and I go fishing. A lot of times I spend most of my time at the dam, just playing around, catching bait, and then I'll go fishing that night. But I'll stay. I mean, I'll work. I be work at 7 in the morning. I get off about 5:30 in the evening, and I'm going. And I'll fish until like last night. I didn't get home till 3 o'clock this morning.
Yeah,
so I got home
last night. Yeah.
Well, I got home, took a shower, and then I turned around and got up at 6:30 this morning and went to work. So I didn't go to bed. I mean, I wasn't even in the bed asleep until a little after 4. And I do that a lot, especially this time of the year when everything starts getting fired up and keyed up. I mean, I'll go a week with, same as Avid. I'll go a week with 8 hours of sleep for the whole week, 10 hours of sleep for the whole week.
If that.
That's right. I mean, it just takes time. Just put your time in and bait selection. Basically, it boils down to bait selection, especially on the tennis. I mean, you will get lucky every now and catch big cats on worms and stuff like that, but fish eat fish.
What's the estimated head count?
Right now, a rough head count, we're looking at about 22, 23 people.
What?
22 to 23 people.
So, Josh, you're going to have to contend with 23 other people for that catfishing tournament, not just Jason. So it ain't going to be a small 8 or 9 people fishing like it was last year.
I ain't going to lie. My biggest contender, the one I'm worried about the most, no disrespect to any other fishermen that are coming, not one bit, but my biggest concern is Jason Lamb. And myself, because I always overthink stuff.
Hey, you forget one. He fishes that week like almost every weekend, and that's Josh, the weekend angler.
Yeah, Josh is a big concern too for me. I'm like,
plus he does it from a boat.
Yeah, are you going to allow boats to be eligible? Because you told me I wasn't allowed to use my boat if I fished the tournament.
No, if you bring your boat, you can use it.
Oh, now.
But you have to have someone in the boat with you to verify the fish. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Same rules as last year, but you have to have someone to verify it, picture of the weight, and the picture of the fish.
Okay. My buddy is coming down from Iowa. He's going to bring his boat, but we decided not to because beginning of this, you said, if we fish in a boat, it didn't count, so we decided not to bring the boat.
I didn't say fish. Boats do count. You can bring your boat and use it.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, for the tournament, you have to have 2 people in that boat to take the picture, verify it, and send it to either me or you. So after the end of the tournament, we can go through and see who had the biggest fish. The biggest fish is 1 trophy. Then the first place after that, then the second place, and the third.
Jason Lamb, I do too, buddy. I get skunked all the time.
Oh, it happens.
I don't.
Me a lot. A lot more
Jason,
than people realize. After watching
you catch 120 pounds of cat last year in 1 hour, no, you deserve that title. I'm thinking too high of you.
So, Big Mike, I got a question here for you. If you could fish with any YouTuber and you was able to choose which one you want to fish with, who would you fish with?
Steve Douglas.
See, that's what I thought you would say, Steve Douglas.
I knew that was coming.
I did too. I was like, I bet he's going to say.
You got to fish with the Godfather. I mean, you got to fish. Hey, I mean, he's the Godfather.
So far, almost everybody that I've interviewed has nailed Steve Douglas for the first person they wanted to fish with. So you know how long a list that Steve Douglas would have to go through to fish with everybody?
Oh yeah,
That's
you'd have to
almost
go through
300 people. That's just beginners alone.
That's right.
You know, Steve could take a person out every day for the next 20 years and still not have enough time to fish
No.
everybody.
No.
There's no way.
No, no. I mean, if you're a true diehard catman, I mean, it's just Steve Douglas has to be number one. I mean, it just has to be. I mean, there's some of the other guys, that's dead and gone, but
We don't have a small fish tournament.
Yeah.
We don't have a small fish bracket.
Oh, I thought you did.
No.
I thought you was doing the smallest fish.
No, the biggest fish, first place, second place, and third.
Okay. Didn't want to win your own trophy, huh, Avid?
No, you do that just by catching dinks like that all day long.
There he goes. Well, you missed it last night. I caught a fingerlink channel cat last night.
Well, I didn't miss it. I was watching it while I was laying in bed.
Well, you didn't watch me in bed. Ugh, boy,
I started to fall asleep, so I'm like, okay, I just keep it running and have him up on my TV. As soon as I say that, I'm like, all right, the Dink Slayer's back.
It's all right.
Come on down here to Tennessee River, Norm. We'll put you on some big cats.
Yeah,
hey, I put him on big cats up here.
Yeah, Carl keeps telling me, Norm, come on down. I'll put you on some of these sharks. I'm like, if I can get time to, I will. You know, I didn't realize how far of a drive it was to Carl. It's like a 7-hour drive. I'm
okay.
Kentucky,
It's just a 7-hour drive. It's just a 7-hour drive.
I get bored. I get bored of driving.
Okay, well, a 7-hour drive or a 2-hour flight, so you could fly down.
Oh, that's true.
Jesse, welcome.
I ain't never fly before, so.
Flying's easy. I've been around the world.
Paul, if I could afford it, I'd go down to Tennessee and fish with you and Steve Douglas.
Yeah, he fishes with Tennessee a lot. Mm-hmm. He does. He stays down at Gunnersville and Wheeler and stuff like that a lot. He don't really visit Chickamauga or Nickajack much.
No, but those are two people I like to fish with sometimes.
Hey, Jesse. Outdoors Addiction.
Yeah, I seen that big old pig he put on Facebook the other day. It was a beast.
It was.
KY Catfish Hunters, welcome. So do you fish year-round or just warm weather?
Never stops. I'm always fishing. I slowed down a little in the winter, but I still fish. It don't matter if it's 10 degrees out. I fished year before last with 6 inches of snow on the ground in downtown Chattanooga.
Sounds like me.
Oh my God, help me.
Fish got to eat, so they'll eat all year. You can catch them if you're willing to put up with the elements. It's worth it sometimes.
I'm sorry. Catfish Hunter, you have to get a hold of Katie on that. She's in charge of the kids' rodeo.
You're all right. Come on.
I'll be able to tell you right. I'll be able to tell you right now because he sent me the information about all that, just in case anyone asked. Let me pull it up real quick and I'll let you know. I was gonna bring both my boys, but I got to thinking, I'm like, this trip's for me this year, so.
Right. I can understand why. I can understand why you're not bringing them.
Don't get me wrong, I love my kids, and they're going to have their own time. They're going to be doing the catfishing for kids on Muskrat Adventures show June 19th. I told them, I said, that's y'all's day. I said, this is going to be my day. I said, we all got our days. Just hold on. And they're still young. They're still, 7 and 8. So they're not dedicated. They're still not dedicated. If they get tired and I don't have something, they may sit there and be like, hey, I want to go home. I'm like, I'm 4 hours away. I'm not driving home. Being here for a couple hours. So I'll give them a few more years.
Can I get my mods in chat to keep posting Big Mike's link and my link out? Let's both get him up and get me up to 700. I'm only 9 out. I'd like to get Big Mike's channel shared out and help him get growing.
Holy shit.
Yeah, I
So
broke
big,
325.
so Big Mike, I got another question for you. So, where would you like for your channel to go from here? Are you just wanting to do it just for the fun time being, or would you like to progress and grow more and get
No, I
bigger?
mean, I like to progress. I mean, it's just I'm having too much right now to try to make a job out of it. I have one full-time job. I don't need 2 full-time jobs.
No,
I've got 3. I don't need 3 full-time jobs. I'm a dad first, and then I work, and then I'm a YouTuber. So
yeah,
I
that's
just been
why I've
having
been
fun with
slacking
it,
a
just
little
coming
bit.
out playing. Just sit around talking, just having fun with it right now.
Yeah, that's why I've been slacking a little bit, working full time and being a dad and trying to do YouTube on the side and trying to make sure everything's good around the house and family.
I mean,
I don't. I'm sorry.
I have 3 GoPros, and I haven't used one yet. I mean, they're still sitting. I've got all the batteries charged, and I got my chesty set up, and that's just like I already carry so much gear. I just don't want to carry a lot more gear with me. So
I will
I just
say
been having
this:
fun with it.
going live from a device is a lot more easier and simpler than the GoPro.
It is.
Because if a lot of people don't understand, when you get the GoPro, you have to have a computer or a laptop to edit it. Then you have to get an editing software if depending on what kind of computer you have. If it's not Apple or a Mac, you don't have no editing software on there for it. You have to buy it separate, and that stuff ain't cheap. Some of it's not cheap, depending on what you get. And then you have to figure out how to edit it. So
I have all that gear. I just don't really have time to mess with it right now. It's just easier, like you said, just to go set everything up and go live. Just sit around and talk. It's funner that way because it's kind of like you got your fishing partners with, if you're by yourself, you got fishing partners with you, you sit and talk. You don't have to sit there and just stare at the rods. So.
But I will tell y'all this for some of y'all that doesn't do Facebook, the meet and greet weather looks perfect. We're talking 80s for the high, sun, no rain, just perfect.
Yeah, they were calling for rain Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I think Thursday here, but it's all gone. No more rain for the next 10 days. So, yeah, it's going to be a lot of fishing going on here.
It should be. As soon as I get my camp set up, Norm's going to have to find me on the lake bank somewhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm going to be doing. The only time you'll see me is when I'm cooking or getting stuff from the camp, but I'll be at the lake nonstop because this is kind of like my vacation, So.
Just have your bait
I'm only like maybe an hour and 15, an hour and 20 minutes from Run Lake, so I'll be leaving work at 7 o'clock in the morning. Be there by about 8:30, and hopefully the campsite.
Because I'm leaving 5 a.m.
Because if my campsite's open, I'm backing in there, getting a tent set up, getting I have 2 canopies and 2 tables. One table is going to be for the drawings and the trophies and all that, and the other one's going to be a cook tent.
Yeah, I've got a brand new tent. I need to break it out and use it. We've been waiting for the weather to warm up here too, so my wife can handle it.
I got 2 canopies and 2 tables.
I'm bringing a canopy. It's not really a big. I got a canopy too that's got like the screen around it. I'm not sure if I'm going to bring it because the bugs really are not going to be that bad this time of year.
No. So I use canopies just to keep out for when you're cooking and you don't want to be out there in the sun all the time. My big 10x10 shades I have.
So currently, Wren Lake's current water temperature is 59 degrees right now. So a little cooler than you can click on here, this website I'm on, and it'll tell you what it was last year. This time last year, it was it says, hold on, wrong one.
Well, it's actually pretty good.
It was 68 degrees this time last year, so we're about 10 degrees different. So the good thing is, though, the catfish are not spawning. We know catfish ain't spawning. We ain't got to worry about that.
So what was it 2 weeks ago?
54. I've been checking 54? It every week. Every week it's
so it's actually going up.
Mm-hmm. So the good thing with this water temp is we still got a possibility to catch some crappie, obviously.
Oh, you're gonna be
That
catching
lake
crappie
is
and white bass.
that lake is plumb full of white bass, so you can catch those galore. All you need is some live minnows or little grub heads or jig heads.
Or jigs.
Channel cats are going to be hitting, but they're not going to be hitting with authority because the water temp is not perfect yet, but it's getting there. Yeah.
Apache Adventures, welcome.
Flathead. If we catch a flathead, it's going to be luck because that water temp is, you know.
Well, that's where we got the main lake and we got the coves that are deep in the mouths of the coves where the campsite is. We get that mouth of that cove off to the right. Then off to the left, you got that main part of the lake.
Yeah.
Where it's deeper.
Oh, yeah. There's a lot of coves around there, so I'm sure we can find something that's got something laying around there. But, yeah.
We're in a perfect spot for daytime fishing for cats and nighttime fishing for catfish, too. So,
yeah, there's a few spots I have found on Google, and to be honest, I'm going to hit. I have to hit before I even leave there.
I'm going to start if I fish the main part of the lake and it's windy or the wind's blowing against me, I'm going to throw out a boom rig.
Dude, he's running on me, I swear.
And let that work.
So, Avid, you got any more questions for Big Mike? Because I might have to hop off here soon. I got to get my butt in bed. I got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow.
You died.
Yeah, my butt's like 50 feet behind me.
I'm not trying to rush y'all or nothing. No.
If you need to go, that's okay. Me and him will still keep talking.
Okay.
Norm.
All right, well, I hate to get off here, but I got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow. I got to get ready for his meet and greet, and I got to go buy some stuff still. So
all I have to do is pack up the cooler with the meat I have in the freezer, my paper towels and paper plates, my backpack, and my cast iron skillets.
Yeah, that's the one thing I got to get together is the cookware stuff. Fishing Big Mike, it's nice talking to you tonight. And,
you too, Norm.
That's good. When you go live, now this is for any of y'all. When y'all go live or plan to go live, don't be afraid to send me a link to my messenger. I am not getting people's notifications when you go live. I've reset the phone. I've deleted the app. I've went back and hit the bell's notifications and then re-clicked again to make sure it's abbreviated. The only time I'll get the notifications is if I'm on my computer. Mary will get them. Mary usually tells me when someone is live. When she's subscribed to the same line. She'll text me, hey, this person is live. I'm like, okay, thanks for telling me. Then I'll hop in. I don't know what it is with my phone. Like last night, it was having issues too. Every 2.5 hours, I had to restart my phone, turn it back on, and it put me right back into the same part I was in live. It drove me nuts. So, but yeah, I will talk you guys later, and thanks for having me on, David. Bye, y'all.
No, later, Norm.
All right, later, Norm. So, what's the best time that you find catfishing good?
It just varies. I mean, the bites slowed down at night here, but I mean, it just depends on where you're at. I mean, you can get them in any time of the day or night. I mean, I got them fit at 1 a.m, midnight. You can still get them in broad daylight too if you're just in the right spot.
If you had a choice to fish for one of the two catfish, what would it be, a blue or a flathead?
Blue cat.
Bluehead.
Bluehead. I'm getting tired. Blue cat.
I understand.
That's all right. Yeah, blue cat, man. I love the blue cat. They fight. I mean, I know flatheads fight really, really hard too, but man, some of them blue cats just.
Blue cat. I mean, you get a big blue cat on your end of your line. It feels like you hooked into a semi with a trailer on it.
Especially here in high. I fought with one for almost an hour. It was a 45-minute fight, but the current was almost 80,000.
That's up here with the Kaskaskia in Mississippi. You hook since the Kaskaskia is more narrow, you get more of a heavy current, and you get a big cat in there, and you hook into him. You're fighting him for a good 45 minutes to an hour, just with the current.
Yeah, well, I mean, a lot of what they'll do is that they'll turn into the current once you get them turned, and they'll just open their mouth and they just turn into a big sail. That
Mm-hmm.
that's
They open that
most
mouth and they turn into the current. And I mean,
yep.
you might as well trying to be pull a boulder out of that damn current.
That's right. Yeah.
They're a beast, like Paula says. But I tell you what, once you get them turned sideways, you got it made.
Yeah. You try to keep them from coming up top. That's what I do. I'll give them wine so they'll go back down and swim to you a lot of the time. So
You're right.
especially
once you get them on top, it's dead weight.
Yeah, it's all dead weight. Yep, they'll sit up there and roll and turn, and especially the 20-pounders and under, they'll just sit there and twist and turn and just raise all kind of cane on top of the water.
Right. That's why it's always I always like having a drag set just right, so if they come up and they flop that tail, they can go back down.
Yeah, I'll feed them line a lot.
Yeah, because when I start bringing them up and I see them coming up, staying on top, I know I have to loosen my drag up some.
Right. Yeah, it's a small fish, and you're fixing to have to fight dead weight.
That
20-pounder turns into a 50-pounder quick.
Right. That's where I like to fight.
Mm-hmm. That's right. Yeah, I love the fight of a blue cat.
God bless you too, 3+1.
I love the fight of any catfish. I just love catfishing. I mean, I fish for other things too. Like today, I just went down there just to have some fun. I went down there with my little ultralight and some 4-pound mono and put on a little crappy jig. Was just sitting out there throwing it on that current seam, just twitching it back to me. And I caught them white bass and them drum and stuff. Yeah, I had a blast. I just picked up striper fishing earlier last year. I think I've used my striper rod 3 or 4 times. So it's fun. I enjoy it. It's fun fishing. You fish for so many different species on the Tennessee River.
I like the blues fight, but I kind of like the flathead fight better.
Yeah, because they usually stay down.
Yeah, but when they stay down, they're on a mission.
Yeah,
especially once they find out they've been hooked. No. Yeah, they don't want to play games. They want to get away from you. They want to get that hook out of their mouth, and they want to get back to what they were doing.
That's right. Yeah, they want to get back in them trees and in them stumps or wherever they were living at. You got to fight them out of it.
You have to keep them out of that damn thing, and it's hard.
Oh yeah, it can be.
And I don't know why it is, but the flatheads have always been the hardest ones for me to catch.
Yeah, I mean, I never really target them specifically. I mean, for me, it's kind of like just a special catch. It's just a bycatch, really. I mean, you're happy when you get you a flathead. I don't really go. Ten-aught hooks. I use a Carolina
favorite setups.
I usually run. I'll either run the vast. It depends on where I'm fishing at. I mean, it just depends on where at in the river or the lake I'm fishing. Most of the time, I'm fishing with a Carolina rig or a Kentucky rig. If I'm fishing below the dam, I'll use a single hook Kentucky rig with either a 10-aught or a 12-aught circle. The vast majority of the time, it's usually a 10-aught. I usually don't go much bigger than that, but I will use the 12 sometimes whenever I'm fishing live bait for the flatheads, which I don't do very often. But I mean, I still got a pack of 50 hooks that I've been using for 3 or 4 years, so I don't target flatties very often.
Yeah, but flatties are leaving hit your cut bait, so you don't really have much of a choice.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I've caught all mine off of cut bait. Stripers too. I mean, all the stripers I've caught so far, I've never caught one on a fluke fishing with my striper rod. I've always caught them fishing for catfish.
Well, my biggest cats I've ever caught was off live bait.
Mm-hmm.
My big blue was caught off a 5-inch bluegill. My big cat was caught off a 9-inch red horse sucker.
Yeah, my biggest blue cat came off about a pound and a half skipjack head on a single hook rig, and my flatty a body piece of skipjack fishing in the doors.
And I've been on those big cats. I normally use, if I'm going to throw live bait, I'll throw a 10-aught.
Yeah.
Chain out hook on them. And I put the hook right underneath the dorsal fin
Yeah.
for the flatheads because they like to hit the bluegills head on.
That's right. Yeah, I usually run the 12 aught just because their plates and their pads are a little thicker and wider, so I'll run a little bit bigger hook so that gap will dig into them a little bit easier. If they decide to run, I mean, the vast majority of times you don't even know if flathead's there. I mean, I reeled in a 35-pounder last or year before last, and I didn't even know he was on there. I was just reeling it in to check it because my rod had bumped a couple times, and I just went to check it, and I was like, "Whoa, there's a fish on there." I reeled him up. It was a flatty.
Hello, Betty.
He stayed in the water probably an hour before I even checked. He just stayed in that one spot, just sitting there chewing on that bait. The hook never even cut into him. All it did was it just got stuck behind his top plate, his top pad.
Yeah, I've had circle hooks do that too. On a big flathead, he wouldn't hook himself, but that upper lip where the bone is coming down on the sinuses, that hook, the tip of the hook just buried itself in the bone, and he couldn't shake it loose.
Yeah,
but he didn't have it all the way.
I used to use circle hooks for flatheads back in the day, but I don't went to the J hooks. That way you can drive that hook home. Because like you said, they just gum it and they play with it. You want to try to set the hook on them because a lot of times they don't take it off they don't take off and run. Every now and then you'll get the one, but it'll be like it'll be a click here, and then it'll be like click, 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 click. They'll stop, and then click, click, click. So you want to drive that hook home. That way you get you a good hook set.
Oh yeah, that's the way it is with me because I like that hook set, but when I hear that drag start clicking like that, then stop and start clicking again, I count the clicks in between each time it stops.
Yeah.
Now, because when it starts getting longer on the clicks, I know he's starting to swim off with it. But when he's swimming, the clicks get longer. Then that's when I just take that bait clicker and turn it off.
Yeah, and just let him swim into it. That's what I used to do with my blue. I used to be a clicker guy. I never locked my rods in. I always let the blue cat, and I would just, while they were running, I would just lock the rod down and let them swim into it, and then I would reel down on them.
Well, in the Mississippi, that's kind of hard to do with a heavy current with a bait clicker.
That's right.
But the Kaskaskia is the same way, but on the lake, I can do it when I know there's big flatheads in there. Because I know they'll have a better chance of hitting them. Yeah.
I've picked up big fish in high current. I've picked up big fish in low current. It's just being there at the right time, right place at the right time to come across them.
Hello, catfish and crappie.
That 90-pounder, that was my fish of a lifetime. Oh my gosh, I was so excited. When I walked down that hill and I seen that fish laying there, I was like, holy crap. I knew it was a 100-pounder. That's what I've been searching for. I've always been searching for a 100-pounder. And I was like, oh, then I measured it. It came up that much short.
How much short?
It was just what, 5.5 pounds short.
Damn. Yep. That sucks.
The fish was 51 and 5/8 inches long and 38.5 inches around. It was a beast.
That'd be a hell of a beast.
The fight only took 15 minutes. It was the easiest fighting fish I've ever fought in my life. That's what makes it so funny. People's like, yeah, that fish must have fought so hard. No, really, it didn't. It was the easiest fighting fish I've ever fought.
What, that blue was the easiest fighting fish you had, huh?
Big one, yeah, that 94-pounder. It was just like a 10 or 15-minute fight. Like it took the rod down. I picked it up, reeled down on it. It got hung up in the rocks. I waited a few seconds, and I felt it when it swam out. I cranked a couple times, and it just came straight to the top of the water. I didn't even reel it. It just came straight up. I don't know what happened to the fish or what. I don't know if it was at the end of its life cycle or something like that. I let it go, and it swam off, but it was just a quick fight. It was crazy how quick it was.
Normally when those fish get that big, I have a theory that I've been talking to a biologist up here about, and he tells me that the Blues Channel, they lived about 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
And when they're getting that big, they're getting closer. They're into the life cycle.
Yeah. I mean, we've caught, well, I mean, we haven't caught, but I mean, I've seen it was either 6 or 7 fish over 100 pounds caught in the last 6 months on our sections of the river.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they're out there. I love to get the world record. I mean, that's what I want. I really do want to get the world record blue cat, especially from the bank. It'd be awesome. If somebody could get it from the bank, it'd be amazing.
I want to break the Illinois state record on the blue, which is 124 pounds. And I also want to break the Illinois state record on the flathead, which is 81 pounds.
Yeah, our blue cat state record is 111 and the flathead is 88. 88 come off the Hiwassee River, and the blue cat came out of the Tennessee River.
It's amazing, these fisheries and what they got, and people just don't realize what kind of resources they have.
That's right. And the bad thing is the states don't care because, I mean, like y'all, I mean, Tennessee is a protected fishery. You're only allowed to keep one fish over 34 inches, and that's it. One catfish over 34 inches. And after that, you can't keep any more over 34. So you can keep as many as you want under. But I don't see like a lot of people, like I've seen on Facebook where people will fill a big cooler full of 5 and 10 pound channel cats or blue cats or even the real big cats. Like they'll just take them home. I don't understand why you need 500 pounds of catfish in your freezer.
Well, I don't take that much. What I do is I help other people that can't go out and fish with fish.
Yeah, I do too.
I feed them. I feed myself, and I'll feed some of my family members that like catfish or crappie.
I only probably maybe 2 or 3 times a year, maybe 4 at the most. But like a lot of my neighbors, they're elderly and they can't get out. They'll ask me to go catch them. Like what was it, about 4 or 5 months ago? The guy down here that lives right here on the corner, he's like, "If you don't mind, could you bring me home an 8-pounder?" I said, "It might not be an 8-pounder, but I mean, I'll try to find something in that range." And I caught him a 10-pounder and brought it to him. So
yeah, but see, I don't keep. If it's 5 pounds and under, I throw them back. But it's 10 to 15, maybe 20, I'll keep them. Anything else, I throw back.
Yeah, I don't keep anything bigger than 10 pounds. I throw all my 10-pound plus fish back, period.
Well, 10 to 20 is what I'll keep. Anything bigger than that, I throw back. Because that way I can use those fillets off those fish to feed more family and to feed everybody and still have some set back for me.
Yeah. Well, everywhere on the Tennessee River that you fish, as far as the public areas, it says do not eat the catfish here because they say it's loaded with mercury. So the bigger the fish, probably the more mercury that's in the fish. So that's why I try to keep 10 pound and less. So
Well, first time I fell in love with a flathead is when a friend of mine had flayed it, cleaned it up, and gave me a vacuum packed bag of catfish fillets. I cooked them up. I cleaned them and I cooked them up, and I ate them. And he come back and asked me, "How do you like them?" I says, "Those blue cats are great." He goes, "It was great and sweet." He goes, "That wasn't blue cats. That was a flathead."
Flathead is the best tasting catfish out there.
Yeah, and it's a lot sweeter tasting than blue.
Yep. It's because they eat, primarily live bait. They will scavenge, but they don't scavenge like the channel cats and the blue cats do.
No, they have to be really hungry just to scavenge.
That's right.
They hit cut bait.
That's right.
But I love them.
Oh yeah, I love to eat flathead.
They're amazing fish. someone sent me a message. I had to respond to it. So you fish the Tennessee River, right?
Primarily, yeah. I mean, I live in, but I don't even have a Georgia fishing license right now. But I am getting it this year because I'm gonna do some traveling back home and fish with my parents and show some other people how to catch some fish down that way too.
So you have the same problem that I have up here in the Mississippi's, where when the water fluctuation goes up, the fish have a tendency to go null and void on the bite unless you go deeper. But as the water goes down to a certain level, the fish bites get better.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it seems like around on Tennessee that the higher the current, the more they bite. I mean, I was catching a lot of fish, right there below the dam when the current was in the 70s, 80s, and 50s and 60s. But when they dropped the current, fish basically disappeared. They went to wherever they went. I don't know what happened. I had 3 skunk sessions in a row after I had 3 really good sessions in a row.
Yeah.
After they dropped. But yeah, I mean, deeper water. I mean, that's what I usually try to target is deeper water. I'd never fished shallow water really, like I did last night. I just wanted to try it. I was like, I'll just give it a shot, and I fished it. And I mean, it worked. I mean, they were in there feeding, so.
Yeah, I noticed how the big blues and flatheads would come up overnight time and feed in a little bit cooler waters because the bait fish are up there. But
yeah,
after they get full, they go back down to deeper water where it's warmer.
Yeah.
But I noticed that on the Mississippi, when the water goes up, it's harder to get a bite on a flathead or a blue. But as the water's
Yeah.
starting to go back down to its normal water pool, the bite turns on.
Well, I mean, if the water current gets real high, I mean, they're going to try to get out of that real fast current. Just have to try to find your dead water areas and fish those.
Right.
That's what I do a lot of times. Like I'll find the eddy currents, fish the eddy currents, or I'll fish up in, sometimes in the bays, that border deep water, and I'll fish the deep water
Right.
that goes into the shallower water. You just kind of got to, spread your baits out. Like, I mean, here in Tennessee, we can fish with as many rods and reels as we want. I usually fish with 5 at a minimum. I don't even feel right.
You're lucky we're only allowed 2 rods.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I used to fish with 10.
Actually, in the Mississippi, you're allowed 3, but the third one has to be tagged.
Yeah, it has to be tagged. Yeah, I mean, Georgia and Tennessee, there's no rod limit. I mean, when I was living back, years ago, I fished with 10 rods. Now I'm fishing with 5, but I'm upgrading. I mean, I'm going to start buying some more gear. I want to try to get back to about at least 7 or 8. Fish with 8 rods at one time from the bank. It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, I love fishing with a lot of fishing rods. It's fun because you can just scatter your baits and pinpoint exactly where you want. It just gives you a better chance of the bigger, more fish. I mean, I don't keep mine, so I'm a CPR fisherman for the most part.
Ever since I've been fishing since I was 4 years old, we've kept the fish that we caught and we ate them.
Yeah.
But as I got older, I've just learned that certain sizes of fish I will keep and certain sizes I'll throw back.
Yeah. I mean, we didn't eat a lot of fish when we were growing up. I mean, my mom don't really like fish, so we just never really ate it. We really just don't eat a lot here. I mean, I love fish. I'll eat it. My wife likes
it. I like cooking. I like cooking my own fish. I'm working on a barbecue recipe, smoker recipe for catfish, and a grill recipe for catfish.
Yeah, I love grilled fish.
So, do you have any final thoughts that you'd like to share with people?
No, I mean, I appreciate everybody's support, and I look forward to growing the channel. having fun with everybody when we're out fishing, trying to teach y'all. Or I mean, if y'all got any questions, I'm on Facebook. I'm friends with a lot of people. I mean, I'm not.
Yeah, if
I'm
you
not.
guys have any questions, feel free to ask him right now because that's what he's here for.
That's
For
right.
you guys to ask him some questions and get to know him. He's a
I mean,
fellow banker.
I'll be 43 years old. I'm married. I've got 4 kids, a grandbaby on the way.
Boy, you're young. I thought you were older than that.
Yeah, I know. Thanks, Avid. That's
No,
what I always get.
That's just, I mean, that
Oh, I
gray you
know.
had down
No,
here and a little bit of gray up here. I'm like, okay,
a
cool.
little
He's
bit.
around my age. And you said
I
you're
know.
43.
That's
I'm
the
like,
bad part.
oh, damn.
Back when I was 36, my daughter she was getting ready to graduate high school. She's like, "How old do y'all think my dad is?" Somebody said 62.
Well,
I
you're
was
only
mortified.
15 years younger than I am, so okay.
I'm
Ain't that
43. I
bad.
look a lot older than I am. Well, I mean, I used to do quarry work. That's where all this, and 4
See,
kids.
I'm 58, but I look younger.
Yeah,
I
I
don't
look
have the
older.
gray.
Yeah, I started grading when I was 16. So.
Oh, my scratch said shots fired. Well,
That don't
it's
matter.
not meant to. It's not meant to be shots fired. And I'm like, well, I seen him. I'm like, okay, cool. He's close. He's 55, 58, 59 running there, and all of a sudden 43. I'm like, whoa, that's so much for that thought.
Yeah, I ain't even 43. I'm only 42. I know, it's crazy how old I look. Everybody always thinks I'm in my 50s, 60s. It's crazy, especially when I don't shave. That big white. I mean, I look like Santa Claus. Big white fluffy
No,
beard.
I thought that because all the white in your the gray in your hair and your gray in your beard.
Yep, it's there. I'm old.
I'm like,
I'm
okay.
old.
But see, I have very little gray in my beard, and I don't have no gray in my hair. I'm like, okay, I'm 58, and I look like I'm in my 30s and 40s.
Lower 40s, upper 30s. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've worked a lot my young life. I mean, so
Oh, so
I
have
work a
I.
lot.
But
yeah,
I have a lot of women ask me how old I look if I shaved the beard. I'm like, you don't want me to shave the beard because then you think I was underage.
yeah.
They look at me like, why? It says, okay, here's a picture when I was 10 years old. Here's a picture when I was 16. He goes, yeah, all right. No, I don't color my beard, Mr. Gadget.
Just for men.
No. That stuff don't work with a damn.
I dyed my hair one time. I dyed my hair one time. I walked into it. I looked like an idiot. I didn't like it. I won't ever do it again.
All I use is a beard oil or vitamin E oil in my beard. Keep it conditioned and keep it soft.
Well, the only time I do grow a beard is during the winter time. I usually keep it trimmed off in the summer.
I keep my beard year round. I ain't shaving my beard out. No. If I shave off, you're going to see me on a Sunday Night Live with Band-Aids all over my face. All wrapped up in gauze.
I don't use a razor. I'll just hit it with a trimmers and just trim it all off, and then we'll leave it at that. My wife's like, why don't you shave? I was like, I'm trying to impress anybody. I've been married for 24 years. I'm good.
I can understand that one. Let's share out Big Mike's link and share out mine.
Sorry, y'all.
And what? Getting tired, bud?
Oh yeah.
Well, we're getting into it early if you want to kick back and relax and enjoy some time with your wife if you want.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and call it a night. I'm go take me a shower and go pass out. Go fall into a coma. Wake up in the morning and go to work. Appreciate you having me on.
We can do this another time too. All right. You have a good night.
All right. Later, Evan. Appreciate it.
You're welcome. Now next week, people, I will be going live from Wren Lake with Catfish Katie Collins. We will be live at Wren Lake, and we may be doing several lives while we're fishing there. So good night, Mark. We'll the 20th will be the start of the meet and greet at Wren Lake through the 24th. Oh, you coming, Dan? Dan? Oh yeah, Dan. Thank you. I did get the package, and we have plans to give away the hats to a few people at the meet and greet, and the rest of the tackle will be going towards a drawing for other people. So we will be going live, and everybody that's coming to the meet and greet that has YouTube channels, I do encourage them to do videos and go live. And I do thank you for the package, Dan. That's awesome and amazing. One of these times you got to come down, Dan. Come down to the meet and greet and let us meet with you. Night, everybody. Y'all have a good night, and I'll see you at Wren Lake. Good night. God bless, and tight lines.